Mysticism by Evelyn Underhill, Section 3, Mysticism and Psychology. We come now to consider the apparatus which is at the disposal of the self, to ask what it can tell us of the method by which she may escape from prison of the sense world, transcend its rhythm, and attain knowledge of or conscious contact with suprasensible reality. We have seen the normal self shut within that prison, and making by the help of science and philosophy a survey of the premises and furniture, testing the thickness of the walls, and speculating on the possibility of trustworthy news from without penetrating her cell. Shut with her in that cell two forces, the desire to know more and the desire to love more. To have the desire to know more and the desire to love more are ceaselessly at work, where the first of these cravings dominates, we call the result a philosophical or scientific temperament, where it is overpowered by the ardor of unsatisfied love. The self's reaction upon things becomes poetic, artistic, characteristically, although not always explicitly religious. We have seen further that a certain number of persons declare that they have escaped from the prison. Have they done so? It could only be in order to satisfy these two hungry desires, for these, and these only, made that a prison which prison might otherwise be a comfortable hotel, since in varying degrees these desires are in all of us, active or latent. It is clearly worthwhile to discover, if we can, the weak point in the walls and method of achieving this one possible way of escape. Is this escapism? Do you think mysticism is? Before we try to define in psychological language the way in which the mystic slips the fetters of sense, he sets out upon his journey towards home. It seems well to examine the machinery. Machinery which is at the disposal of the normal conscious self, the creature or part of a creature which we recognize as ourselves. The older psychologists were accustomed to say that the messages from the outer world awaken in that self three main forces of activity. Number one, they arouse movements of attraction or repulsion, of desire or distaste, which vary in intensity from the semi-conscious cravings of the hungry infinite to the passions of the lover, artist, or fanatic. 2, they stimulate a sort of digestive process in which she combines and cogitates upon the material presented to her, finally absorbing a certain number of the resulting concepts and making them part of herself or of this world. 3, the movements of desire or the action of reason, or both in varying combinations, awaken her determination by which precept and concept issue in action, bodily and mental and spiritual. Hence, the main aspects of the self were classified as emotion, intellect and will, and the individual temperament was regarded as emotional, intellectual, volitional, according to whether feeling, thought, or will assume the reins. I think this is still part of our basic understanding of psychology, the programming of the West. Modern psychologists have moved away from this diagrammatic conception and include more and more to dwell upon the unity of the psyche, that hypothetical self which none has ever seen, and on some aspect of its energetic desire, its libido or karmic drive, as the ruling factor of its life. These conceptions are useful to the student of mysticism, though they cannot be accepted critically or regarded as complete. Now the unsatisfied psyche in her emotional aspect wants, as we have said, to love more. Her conscious intellect wants to know more. The awakened human creature suspects that both the appetites are being kept on a low diet. That there really is more to love. More to know. And somewhere in the mysterious world without, and whether further that its powers of fiction and understanding are worthy of some greater and more durable objective than that provided by the illusions of sense. Urged therefore by the cravings of feeling or of thought, consciousness is always trying to run out to the encounter of the absolute, and always being forced to return. The neat philosophical system, the diagrams of science, the sunset touch are tried in turn. Life and art, the accidents of our humanity, may foster an emotional outlook till the moment in which a neglected intellect arises and pronounces such an outlook to have no validity. Metaphysics and science seem to offer to the intellect an open window towards truth, till the heart looks out and declares this landscape to be a chill desert in which she can find no nourishment. These diverse aspects of things must be either fused or transcended if the whole self is to be satisfied. For the reality which she seeks has got to meet both claims and pay in full. When Dionysius the Areopagite divided those angels who stand nearest to God into the seraphs who are aflame with perfect love, and the cherubs who are filled with perfect knowledge. We only gave expression to the two most intense aspirations of the human soul and described under an image the twofold condition of that beatific vision which is her goal. There is a sense in which it may be said that the desire for knowledge is a part of the desire of perfect love, since one aspect of that all-inclusive passion is clearly a longing to know, and in the deepest, fullest, closest sense, the thing adored, love's characteristic activity. For love, all wings, is inherently active and cannot be lazy. As the mystics say, is a quest, an outgoing towards an object desired, which only when possessed will be fully known, and only when fully known can be perfectly adored. Intimate communion, no less than worship, is of essence. Joyous fruition is its proper end. This is true of all love's quests, whether the beloved be human or divine, the bride, the grail, the mystical rose, the plenitude of God. But there is no sense in which it can be said that the desire of love is merely a part of the desire of perfect knowledge, for that strictly intellectual ambition includes no adoration, no self-spending, no reciprocity of feeling between knower and known. Mere knowledge, taken alone, is a matter of receiving, not of acting, of eyes, not wings. Dead alive business. At the best, there is thus a sharp distinction to be drawn between these two great expressions of life. The energetic love, the passive knowledge. One is related to the eager outgoing activity, the dynamic impulse to do somewhat physical, mental, or spiritual, which is inherent in all living things, and which psychologists call conation. The other to the indwelling consciousness, the passive knowing somewhat, which they call cognition. Now, conation is almost wholly the business of will, but of will stimulated by emotion, where willful action of every kind, however intellectual it may seem, is always the result of interest. And interest invokes feeling. We act because we feel, we want to, we feel, we must. Whether the inspiring force be a mere preference or overwhelming urge, our impulse to do is a synthesis of determination and desire. All man's achievements are the result of conation, neither of mere thought. The intellect by itself moves nothing, says Aristotle. Modern psychology has but affirmed this law, hence his quest of reality is never caused, though it may be greatly assisted by the intellectual aspect of his consciousness, for the reasoning powers as such have little initiative. This province is analytical, not exploratory. They stay at home, dissecting as arranging matter that comes to hand, and do not adventure beyond their own region in search of food. Goodness. We are talking about the power, the separate desire for knowledge and the desire for love. And reading in the Mysticism and Psychology, Part 3, from Mysticism. Seems intellect can do hardly anything by itself, according to Aristotle.